10 years ago now, I was working in the hospital and I had a 9-year-old come in with abdominal pain, and we worked her up like usual, and I ended up getting an x-ray on her only to find out there was a fetus. And it was one of the questions I didn't bother asking a 9-year-old. And so it was the first time I came home and I told Tyler about it. And that was kind of at the beginning of our relationship. And he was mesmerized, and at first our discussion was about the morals of the situation and how she even got pregnant in the first place. And then that conversation switched to, well, how is her body physically at the age of 9 even able to conceive? And so that night we started doing some research online, only to find out that the age of puberty has been decreasing over the years. And they started talking a lot about growth hormones and chemicals in the food, and it didn't really make a lot of sense to us at the time. I kind of started grasping the overall picture, but I didn't really understand the extent to which that was a problem. And so we started watching documentaries, and that night we happened to have watched a video about the meat industry and the slaughterhouses, and we said, all right, that's it. We're not buying any meat from the store, and we're only going to buy organic produce. And so we had this crash course on farming, and it was exciting. We started having eggs. I quickly learned how to birth animals and kids and calves, and we started, with the eggs, the meat, and the milk. We started being able to provide not only for our family but our extended family. And they started talking to their friends about it and coming out and asking us if we had more eggs and more milk. And from there, we started growing. I talked to Tyler. I said, well, I don't think we should be feeding the commercial feed. I know everyone says that that's what we're supposed to be feeding the pigs, the cows, the goats, but I don't think it's right. I think we need to make a change. And so we went into Portland and we started looking for grocery store distributors, people that would get rid of, bruised or imperfect produce. So we found a distributor finally who agreed to let us take a barrel or two every week, and we'd take everything they had. So they started giving us more and more, and before long, all of our livestock were eating fresh produce and thriving. One day, we had this beautiful pallet of fresh bananas that were perfectly ripe, and Tyler's like, all the animals are fed. We could just compost it and keep feeding, but I feel like we should send, an email out and asking if people want this. I said, yeah, that's probably a good idea. I bet people could use fresh produce. So we put a post out on Facebook, and that night we had an unbelievable amount, 75 to 150 emails that night that came back from people that said they don't remember the last time they ate fresh produce. And Tyler and I literally cried. We had no idea the extent that our community, those people that live right next door to us, are hurting.
I took home a whole box of bananas and ground them down into like banana sauce.
Yeah.
Put it in the freezer, and that's only ingredient is bananas, and the kids love it.
Yeah.
Like ice cream.
Bowl full and just eat it.
So we take that semi truck and we unload all the food and we sort it, and 40% of it goes to the animal bins, and then 60% of it goes to the people bins. Yeah, believe it or not, 60% of it or more is still beautiful. And then people eat whatever's consumable, the animals eat whatever's not consumable, but it's bigger than that because, see, all the hard plastics get recycled. All of the cardboard gets fed to the worms. All of the wood pallets get recycled. Everything, we consolidate that entire semi-truckload of garbage into one trash can. Maybe two if it's a really super garbage heavy or package heavy load. That's it, one. So not only are we feeding hundreds of people, but we're keeping hundreds of thousands, millions of cubic feet of waste out of the landfills. It's so much bigger than a food movement. And we did an announcement this last summer, and we asked the community, or made a commitment to the community this last summer, where we said, I will put a driver on staff, I will put permanent staff at the farm. I want to get an idea of what the community needs. And so we spent 7 days, and I said, as soon as we run low on food, I'll pick up another truck. And in 7 days, we did 127,000 pounds of food. In 7 days. And so I called the distributor and I said, look, is this sustainable? I mean, this is what the community needs. Can we keep this up? And he said, well, you picked up 25% of what I had that week. 127,000 pounds, 25%. Which means we've got 500,000 pounds a week. That was hard. That was in the middle of summer. So, I mean, obviously it fluctuates with the seasons.
1.6 billion pounds of food is thrown away annually in the United States.
That number again?
1.6 billion pounds of food. And 25% of our usable water is used in that process of the 1.6 billion pounds of food. So what I've been fortunate to do is, when I first started, I was just taking for my direct little family of 6. And then I realized, well, I can expand that and start taking for friends. And so then it went from there and blossomed. So now I have over 100 families that come to my house and collect food from my house for free.
They saved our lives.
Mm-hmm. And our kids.
Mm-hmm. 1 week we're talking to Tyler, and 2 weeks later we're pretty much almost homeless.
It. Yeah, we were.
Tyler's like, hey, we're gonna be homeless. And he's all like, come on in.
Believe it or not, I mean, one of our goals from the very beginning was to make this organization for the people, by the people. And so we don't have a single staff member. We have some amazing volunteers. We work entirely with volunteers. It's me, my wife, and then Joshua, who lives with us. And then we take in interns. We've got 1 month, 3 month, 6 month, 1 year, and 2 year internship programs. And we've got a 1 year intern from Egypt right now, a 2 year intern from Georgia, people that want to learn how to develop regenerative food systems and bring these ideas back to their communities. So we have the interns that really run the teams of volunteers, and then we've got an incredible number of volunteers from the community that come out and give their time and energy and help grow food and help keep the system running. So believe it or not a single employee, which is just an incredible blessing.
So I came to Heart in 2013. I was referred here through the Vet Center, and that's an organization that helps veterans out in East Portland. And so I was going through a bit of a rough patch. I didn't have a place to stay. I had run out of rent money, and the counselor there had recommended this place. They said that this is a place that veterans can go to do work trade and kind of help relieve the symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. I don't know, I came from a military background where things had to be perfect, and they both do. They both come from a military background. But out here, you can exercise your potential, and if something goes wrong, and things have gone wrong, it's not the end of the world. And once I learned to relax, I could really move forward.
We bought a piece of property, a 20-acre piece of property.
Right.
And so I just sent a message that said, hey, I've got 20 acres. Do you want to put something on it? And 15 people now, as of Monday, will come onto the farm. And within 2 weeks, it's our goal to have our food pantry up and running.
A huge part of what we're doing is modeling our place after this place in a permaculture standpoint.
Yes.
So we're on a hill, and it's just sloping, rolling hills with no trees. So there's a lot of kind of desertification going on, erosion. So walking around here and seeing what they've done with the terracing and with the erosion control and the plants that they put in, it's like a jungle.
Right.
I'm like, okay, like every time I come here, I'm more inspired to go back to the other farm and like, okay, I want to make it like this.
We work with permaculture students from different universities in the region, and we teach permaculture. Now, permaculture can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people, but it's what we call just sustainable farming. We do a lot of upcycling. We're very diverse. Commercial flowers, even meat CSA, vegetable CSA, gardening. We do a lot of recycling and upcycling, as well as buying and selling at auctions. Part of what I was describing earlier is being diverse as a farm and having multiple areas of service and multiple areas of income potential. So for example, we have over here, this is the children's garden, and in the children's garden we have, in the summertime, we have summer programs like kids camps, daycare style summer camp. Because our farm works with the community so much, we have work trade programs. And so for example, whatever skills you have to bring to the table, we can trade for any meat that we have and that we harvest. So for the last 3 years, Heart to Heart Farms has worked with the one local dairy and rescued over 300 cows each year. Each one of these boys. Now each one of these guys is a bull, is a male, and so the dairy industry, how the common practice with this breed in particular, the Jersey cow, the common practice in this country is just to put them down when they're born, because it's essentially a byproduct. But from here, we get them up to this age so that they're stable. And we offer them as work tradable items. We offer them as a source of meat for families that are hurting. We just recently started dabbling in mini livestock, and so for example, this beautiful white-faced Hereford is a miniature, and so this mama is about 4 years old, full grown, and under 1,000 pounds. Which is miniature for a cow. and so a lot of farmers who only have an acre or two, it makes sense to explore these mini breeds that breeders have been having some success in these mini cows. So our farm has a piglet foster program, and all 3 of these have just come back from their 6-week field trip, being bottle raised by other community members. It's also, the piglet foster program is a great stepping stone for families who are interested in mini pigs. Again, just because based on the size of the property, whatever they have, maybe they don't have room for a 250-pound pig. Maybe they only have room for a 45 to 75-pound pig. Every week, hundreds of families come out to this farm for the food pantry. Every week we are harvesting meat for families who are living off of bologna, hot dogs.
I think they have the groundwork. He has the vision. They have the vision. They have the plan for putting it into action. They have the heart and the passion to be able to keep it going, and they have the work ethic that keeps everything moving. They work at least the equivalent of 3 people, and that's their secret. Tyler always said, get up early, go to bed late, be the first one up, the last one to bed, outwork everyone else. And he puts that into action every day. He works harder than anyone else, and he makes things happen. And Liz right along with him. They're a power couple that nothing can get in the way of.
Quite honestly, if not for Tyler, there's no way we would have been able to do what we've done, because I was ready to quit so many times. It takes a village to do what we're doing, and without the support of everyone behind us, without Tyler believing in me and pushing me on, and yeah, I don't know how we would have been able to do what we're doing.
My goal is that we can inspire 150 people to do this where they're at. And if we could do that in the next 3 to 5 years, then that 150 people inspires 1,500 people. And before we know it, nobody's hurting. Let's put it this, I would imagine they're always going to be hurting people. But before we know it, everybody has options. And everybody knows that there are people out there who care. And everybody who's willing can put great food, great community, and help that become a part of their life again. And it's just so much bigger than feeding people.